Hello, everybody, and welcome to my quasi year-end review of gaming for me in 2014, as well as a look into 2015, even though we're already in the start of 2015. I kind of sort of did a video like this at the beginning of my channel, which started in like February or March of 2014. So I was a little late to the party, so to speak. But I wanted to talk about basically the games that I finished, like actually completed this year, the games that I at least played part of in this year, and then what 2015 is probably going to hold for me. Now, I fully predicted that in 2014, gaming, as far as new gaming was concerned, was going to slow down quite a bit for me, which it did. I expect that to continue in 2015 by a vast amount. But the one thing that I had hoped I would get done in 2014 was play more of the games in my backlog. All these games that I own, all these games that have been sitting around forever, all these games that I've picked up along the way in the last year or so. I really had hoped I would just spend more time playing games, and I didn't. I'm disappointed in myself for that. I'm going to go over my list as I have kept it for the Nintendo 64 Forever forum with the game, console, and date of completion, and talk a little bit about this. So the first game that I beat in 2014 was Scribblenauts Unlimited for the computer, for PC. A game I bought on Steam when it was cheap that I played because PewDiePie he'd done a relatively lengthy playthrough of it, and I thought it was kind of cute, it was looked fun, and it might be kind of nice to do it myself and see everything that the game had to offer. I started it in late 2013. I beat it on January 2nd. It's not like I played it for 2 days and it was done. I started it in 2013 and just happened to finish it 2 days into the new year. And by the time I did finish it, and I completed the game itself, as in I got to the ending of the game, but I didn't 100% it, which had been part of my goal, was to 100% it, but I did not. Basically just because I found the game after a while to kind of be tedious and too simplified to want to spend any more time with it than I had to. So then later in January, I completed the Jeopardy game for the Nintendo 64, and that was for our N64 Forever Beats 'Em All competition that we run on the forum, which is we had hoped to complete every one of the games released for the N64, at least the US games, but we'd included European and Japanese games as well. We'd hoped that maybe the entire forum could maybe beat all the N64 games within a certain period of time. It's dragged out now for a while, but I had wanted to contribute in some way. So I picked something, one, that I own, but two, I wanted something that would be relatively quick and easy. All I had to do was just play a game of Jeopardy and be the champion, which I did. I completed that on January 23rd. The next completion of any kind was on February 18th, when for the 360 I beat Episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us, which is one of the really awesome Telltale Games series. Episode 1 had been in 2013, so it wasn't included on the list, obviously. I beat that, like I said, on February 18th. That was 4 days after the next thing I completed was released, but it took me 11 days to get to it and complete it. Excuse me, which was the Left Behind DLC for The Last of Us. The first, last, and only single-player storyline DLC for that game, which I think is a massive disservice. They had a lot of great storyline ideas they could have done DLC for, but rather they focused on multiplayer stuff. But the one thing that they did give us was awesome. That was done on February 25th. The next thing that I completed was March 6th. For the 360, by the way, Last of Us Left Behind, that was PS3 because it's PS3 exclusive. But for the 360 on March 6th, I completed The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 2. Once again, another thing that started in 2013. But both Wolf Among Us and Walking Dead Season 2 were completed in 2014. So episode 2 was done on March 6th. March 26th, I completed the X-Files game for the PC. One of my favorite games of all time. It's in my favorite games video series, if somebody wants to look that up, if they're interested. I try to have a go at it every so often, and I got to finish it in March. Was my only completion, or my second completion, I guess, in March because of the other Walking Dead Season 2 episode. One of my own silent personal gaming resolutions for the year had been to try to complete something every month of the year. I did not succeed. But the next thing I completed was Wolf Among Us Episode 3 on April 17th. And on May 29th, I completed The Walking Dead Season 2 Episode 3. And The Wolf Among Us Episode 4 on that same day. Knocked out 2 things to salvage May. Maybe I should have waited on one of those because I didn't complete anything in June. On July 6th for the Nintendo 3DS, but via my 2DS that I had at the time, I completed Tomodachi Life. Now, I say completed. That's not really a game that has an ending, but anytime your character would have a kid that would grow up and move out on its own, you would get a ending credits type scenario, which was like watching them grow up before they moved out. The game continues, but I counted that as a completion because there would be no other completion for that game if you didn't. And it was the only thing I had for my 2DS that I actually finished, which is sad because it's all gone now. And on July 15th, I completed Episode 5 of The Wolf Among Us, which completed the entire Wolf Among Us game. It was very awesome. I loved it. July 26th, I completed Episode 4 of Walking Dead Season 2. And then we jumped to August 27th when I completed Episode 5, wrapping up Season 2 of Walking Dead. I think both that and Wolf Among Us were games that I did videos for from my recent gaming series. So I've already really talked about those before, but thumbs up from me. And then we missed September and October for any kind of gaming completion. So June, September, and October, I did not finish any games in those months. Now, I was still playing some games here and there. I just didn't complete anything. But on November 8th, I finished a game for the PC called The Bird Story, and I'm going to be talking more about that in a video very soon. But it was very, I loved it, and it was from the same guy who did the game To the Moon, which is one of my favorite all-time games. And the other 2 completions that I completed on the last day of the year, December 31st, the To the Moon Holiday Special Minisode and The Mirror Lied, also 2 short interactive games made by Ken Gao, who made A Bird Story and To the Moon. I finished off my year spending some time with some of his games, and I loved those. But that was my games completions for 2014. Now, I also played, I started on a game of Far Cry 4. Amazing game, loving that. And a game called Murdered Soul Suspect from Square Enix. Actually really enjoying that game. Think that maybe that game took a little too much shit from the critics and whatnot. It's a different kind of game. It's not necessarily difficult. It's not the best voice acting or the best story, but I'm really into it. I had hoped to finish that in 2014 because I'm right near the end of it, but I got distracted, and it's just going to have to be hopefully sometime in the next coming couple of weeks. And there were other games that I played. I'm sure I'm missing or forgetting a whole bunch of stuff that I started. I did try to start a Legend of Legaia playthrough, one of my favorite PS1 RPGs, but I didn't go back to that, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. So, 2014, my thoughts on it. Excuse me. It was a decent year for somebody who was not invested in PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U, which that's me. Don't have any of the new consoles, so a lot of the focus that was thrust on those is beyond me, because I'm not into it. Wii U I watched closely because I do hope to get a Wii U next year. because I want that new Zelda game because it looks yummy as hell. I definitely want to get in on some of that. And there is a slew of other titles for the Wii U. I've done a wish list type Wii U video a few months back. Actually, quite a few months back. I think around June. Of games I would want to get if I ever got a Wii U. But it will be headlined for sure by the Legend of Zelda game that has yet to be released. But hopefully will be out this year. But as far as the Xbone and the PS4 go, I don't have any interest in them. So I'm paying attention to the games mainly from a retailer aspect because I work with that stuff and I want to know things for the customers. But for me personally, it just doesn't do anything for me. But the game companies out there still had a pretty steady flow of good games going to the Xbox 360 and PS3. And so I've been taking advantage of that, and I hope to continue to take advantage of good games that are coming out, but also price drops on stuff. Like a game like Assassin's Creed Rogue, a specific title in the Assassin's Creed lineup that was made for the old consoles and not a dumbed-down port of Unity. And it's funny because Unity was the buggy mess that came out, and I never really heard any complaints about Rogue. So I'm just waiting for it to get cheap because I still have the entire series to go through. And, of course, games like Far Cry 4 coming out for the older consoles. Even though I don't have it yet, I will get WWE 2K15 for the older consoles. And, I don't know, there's just a lot of games. I will reap the benefits of this last, probably truly great year for the old consoles. Now, this 2015 still holds new releases for them. And hopefully, crossing fingers, we will hear something positive this year about The Last Guardian still going to be released for the PS3 and not pushed to the PS4. I hope that they don't screw guys like me who've been waiting for so long for that into putting it on a console that I have no plans on getting. But 2015 in general, what do I think maybe it's going to hold just in the video game world as a whole? I don't know. I think we're probably going to continue to see all these big budget, super hyped games, shooter games, RPGs, like Dragon Age games and stuff, which there's another series I'm glad it got released for 360 and PS3. But we're going to see stuff like that, maybe new Elder Scrolls or whatever. But we're going to see all this emphasis now on the current gen systems, and I'm going to start to see the end of, good, decent titles for the consoles that I own. I do know that we will get Metal Gear Solid 5 for 360 and PS3, so that's a plus, and a lot of other games. But I hope that the industry gets their head out of their ass as far as all this DLC is concerned and releasing games before they're really done and then, relentlessly patching and updating them. I want to see some of that shit get toned down. It's not ever going to go away, but I want to see it. I want to see it being a priority in the eyes of the game companies. That's something that they need to fix, that they need to work on. And I don't know. I guess just hopefully gaming continues on and it stays a healthy industry. I've seen a lot of people that I enjoy hearing their opinions when it comes to gaming stuff, talking about how they're not sure that Sony and Microsoft may make new consoles. They may change their business plans. They may become the download services that I've heard about. Nintendo's already announced that they are working on a new generation of consoles to follow up the Wii U, but Sony and Microsoft so far have not said anything. And maybe, if it goes away, it goes away. I think we've already seen a real big change away from what I loved about gaming in the 90s and into the mid 2000s. Stuff has just changed so much, and that's part of the reason why this old guy is kind of leaving the new stuff behind. I want to focus on playing the games that I have and enjoying what is out there while my consoles are still alive. I also imagine I'm probably going to spend a shit ton of time this year in Gmod. Uh, I can't remember if I talked about that in here or not. Maybe not. I've put like 615 hours into Garry's Mod just this last year alone, and that blew me away. But at the same time, I recently went back to World of Warcraft and discovered that I probably altogether have put between 2,200 and 2,500 hours into World of Warcraft in 5 years of playing it off and on. So, but I think Gmod could put that could give that a run for its money, because in Gmod I can play it whenever I want. As long as I've got internet in this computer, I can play it. I don't have to pay to play. So in 5 years, I guess we'll see how far along I am on Garry's Mod. But that's probably going to be my main game for this year, and then hopefully I will put together some of this backlog in 2015, and hopefully I'll have a lot of recent gaming videos to put up. Hopefully I will have a nice, big, robust list of games I've completed in 2015 at the end of this year to talk about, and hopefully I can just really enjoy gaming in 2015, even if I'm playing older games. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. That's my 2014 gaming retrospective for myself and my look towards 2015. So I hope everybody out there got a lot of games played in 2014, added a lot of games to their collection, and I hope you're all going to have a great 2015. If you're playing the new consoles or whatever, awesome. Let's make it a great year for games in 2015. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.